is Monday, so that means it's time for another Market Monday update. What's going on, everybody? Philip here from TCG Madness, and yes, it is time to take a look at some trading cards that are trending up and trending down. And normally I'll be looking at Pokemon, but we're gonna I think I made enough videos talking about Pokemon. I now want to focus on Yu-Gi-Oh, another game that is highly collectible for a couple of different reasons. Of course, there are some cards that are of course always going to be very highly collectible in any trading card game that's out there. But Yu-Gi-Oh is very different in the fact that it has the meta that constantly flows. There's certain cards that'll be very expensive depending on the meta because those cards are more playable, decks are more playable. Maybe there's a certain card that needs that type of deck, and then there's just cards just in general that are always going to be up because they're just unanimously harmonized with Yu-Gi-Oh. Things like Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Summon Skull, a lot of the original cards that we grew up and love. And of course, with the quarter of the centuries that are out now with Yu-Gi-Oh seem to be pretty much taking over the market. There used to be this thing called Starlight Rares that were very, very popular that are having a rebound going up effect, and also some cards that are trending downward. So very interesting to show you guys this video today. If you guys like this type of content, want to see more, if you just enjoy it for no other reason, and for no other reason you're watching right now, just please do me the big favor, hit that like button. If you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button. Don't forget to comment down below. What is kind of your opinion on the state of the current market for all TCGs? I'm very curious to see in the long run how this is going to play effect, because right now we have so many card games. I mean, we really are living probably the best time ever as far as TCG is concerned, just because of how much is actually available out there. I mean, you look at top of like right here on TCG Player. I mean, this used to just be like four card games. There used to be Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and then Card Fight Vanguard, ironically, used to be at the top of that list. Now look at it. Now we got One Piece, Digimon, Lorcana, Star Wars, Flesh and Blood. And if you click on like there's more products, I mean, there are so many cards. Weiss Schwartz. I mean, there's a lot of card games. And I know some people are going to be like, bro, this isn't, I see a lot of this on TikTok especially. Bro, this isn't for an investment. This isn't like the stock market. Yes, it is. I hate to be the one to tell you, yes, it is. And that genie's been out of the bottle now for over 10 years. We're not putting that thing back in. So hate it or love it, this is where we're at. My job here, at least for these videos, and I'll do this every Monday. I'll do some kind of Market Monday update for you guys on all the major card games, and mostly we will be taking a look at a lot of Pokemon, according to my previous videos. But today we're going to be taking a look into Yu-Gi-Oh! And again, my job here is to just give you guys just the information. So if you're a collector like myself, I'm not a player of Yu-Gi-Oh, guys. Be the first to admit that. So if I butcher some of these names, I apologize. This is really just to give you guys information to make the best decision with your money. With that being said, these are cards that are trending up. The first and foremost we have, and you're going to see a lot of this right here, Quarter of the Century Bonanza. When that set dropped, man, a lot of cards, especially with the newer set, the Quarter of the Century Stampede, the Bonanza set, the previous set, has seen quite a drastic surge in the market right now. So starting us off, Magical Hats from Quarter Century Bonanza. 3 months ago, this card was $6.24, and now most recently selling at $13.41. It's a 114% increase. Pretty good there. Sky Striker Ace from Quarter Century Bonanza. 3 months ago, guys, this card was selling below $30, $26.76, and now most recently selling at $60.18. 124% increase. That's a dramatic increase, and you can see right here, near mint first edition now selling at $75. So this card's probably going to continue to see that skyrocketing surge right now that it's seeing. No pun intended. Toon Blackluster Soldier from Quarter Century Bonanza. Beautiful looking card right here. 3 months ago, $11.95. Now most recently selling right about here, $28.97, 142% increase. And it is probably looks like it's going to come back down a little bit, as most recently now selling in $23.96. So maybe that card kind of plateaus there. The Stalos, the Firestorm Monarch, Quarter Century Bonanza. 3 months ago, this card selling around $4.21. You guys can see just really flatlined right here. Started to peak, and it just has continuously gone up. Now most recently selling $16.69, 296% increase. You can see though, it is going to start to come back down, as most recently now selling at about, looks like $13 a copy of card right here. So that's nice to see that it's peaked here and looks like it's already going to start to come back down. Maybe now's a chance to pick up a couple of these cards. Now the reason why I'm only going to be showing you Quarter of the Centuries and the Prismatic Secrets. The reason for that being, by the way, is that these are just the most highly collectible cards. I think as time goes on, as the next 15, 20 years, these cards will be A, the most collectible, period, but B, will see probably the most return on your investment. So if you're someone who collects cards as an investment, maybe hand down to your kids, or just something as a retirement, which I know if you don't like that, again, I'm going to be the wrong channel for you guys. If you're someone who does not like that, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the days of just collecting, this is just cardboard, that is gone, guys. That is just dead and gone, and we're probably not going to go back to that. You can comment down below if you guys agree or disagree with that, by the way. I'm open to hearing some other people, chime in on that conversation. Next up, Gemini Elf, quarter of the century. This is from, again, quarter of the century Bonanza. 3 months ago, $6.63, and now most recently selling at $21.62. 226% increase, and you guys can see again, it's going to have a little bit of a dip now as it's most recently selling right here at $16.25. Morphing Jar number 2, again, quarter of the century Bonanza. 3 months ago, this card was selling at $2.39, and most recently selling right here at $12.71. 431% increase, and you can see most recently selling right now $11.65. Great card right here, the card that I would highly start collecting. Summon Skull, quarter of the century rare, quarter of the century Bonanza. 3 months ago, $31.61, and most recently selling right here, 4 copies sold at $73.68. 133% increase, and you can see most recently selling right now $81.65. Very good chance that this card continues to see that climb. Cards that are not part of the quarter century Bonanza. Danger Jackalope, of course, quarter of the century rare from 25th anniversary rarity collection. What you guys are noticing too, a lot of these cards are from those collectors and rarity sets, the sets that I love to open and buy a bunch of too. That's kind of, a lot of you guys who have been with me for a while may have remembered that's pretty much all that I used to open of Yu-Gi-Oh, just these rare collector sets. And I always thought that would be the case, that Yu-Gi-Oh would eventually see this kind of return on my investment. A lot of the cards, the ghost rares and stuff like that, I still have all those cards that I opened from the beginning of the channel that I've gotten graded. So pretty cool to see this now. 3 months ago, $5.33, and most recently selling right there, 9 sold at $12. 125% increase. You can see it's going to come down just a little bit though, so that's pretty good. Vanquish Soul Xiaolong, Age of Overlord, a quarter of the century rare. This is incredible right here. So it sold 3 months ago at $17.50, and you can just see it just kind of plateaued right here. And I'm sure this has to do with the meta, and you guys can see there's a huge peak right here. 2406, 18 sold there, and now most recently, it just kept climbing up. Most recently selling 3 items sold at $43.22, 151% increase. And you can see right now where this card is at. This card now apparently sitting at $100. If you look below, it's either that or $209. So pick your poison on that one. Pretty incredible stuff right there. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. This is a Starlight rare. So remember these guys? Remember the Starlight rares? These are pretty much the original chase cards from every Yu-Gi-Oh booster box. Every set had a couple of these, like maybe like 3 Starlight rares, and it was so hard to pull these things. And eventually they changed that formula over. They went from making Starlight rares now to making the quarter of the centuries. The quarter centuries are easier to pull. And I used to say this a lot. It's very funny. I used to say this a lot in the early stages of my YouTube career, that I think they should have changed it. They should go from a Starlight rare to just making a different rarity. They actually ended up doing that. They actually changed the rarity, went to the quarter centuries that are easier to pull. There's 25 of them in a set, and it just makes Yu-Gi-Oh collecting way better. It's fun that way. And when you get a booster box, you actually feel like you're getting your value's worth in that booster box. You're not always going to make your money. You're not even going to sometimes even get close to that, but at least when you pull one of those quarter centuries, it feels good. Versus when you used to buy a booster box, you were pretty much never guaranteed to get these Starlight rares, and basically you get 2 secrets and a couple of ultras, and you wouldn't even come close to what you spent. Now that's changed for Yu-Gi-Oh! But the original Hunt cards, Starlight rares. And these cards, a lot of these cards, by the way, are seeing quite the increase. So here we have one, Blue Eyes Jet Dragon from Battle of Chaos. 3 months ago, this card was below $100. Below $100 3 months ago. You guys can see selling in the 50s, and then all of a sudden, most recently sold $68.56, 34% increase. And if you just take a look at directly from TCG, what's now selling, $300. You can take a look down below. You can see all these cards in the 60s. So again, my advice to you guys, don't ever really buy from directly from TCG. That's a freaking ripoff right there. But to see that increase, these cards, I do expect these Starlight rares, by the way, guys, to just continue to go up, because these will be the original Hunt and Chase cards that will have some very deep meaning and value to the Yu-Gi-Oh collectors out there. Next up, we have Evil Twins Trouble Sunny Starlight rare. This is from Burst of Destiny. 3 months ago, guys, this card was selling at $75.50, and most recently selling right about here, $98.88. And you can see 4 of them sold. That's a 30% increase. And you guys can see this is not even directly from TCG. This is someone else selling it, and you can see $149. If you take a look at what's listed, it's all in that range. It's only going to go up from here. So I think my theory might be right on these ones, that these Starlight rares I would start collecting Starlight Rares like today, basically. Live Twin, Frost, for another Starlight Rare from Lightning Overdrive. A great set, by the way. Love that set. I opened up a lot of booster boxes from that set. 3 months ago, this card was below $100. It was selling at $82.95, and now most recently sold $154.85, 88% increase, and you can see directly right there, now selling around $249.99. So that's going to do for the cards that are trending upwards. Now I'm going to shift our focus. Comment down below, you know, you guys agree with that the Starlight Rares are going to be the original now chase cards, that they will all see a quite dramatic increase, or will they continue? Some of them have dipped, and I will show you some of those cards as we shift our focus over to cards that are trending downwards, but I would be collecting Starlight Rares like now. Let's go ahead and shift now our focus, like I said, to over the cards that are trending down. All right, now these right here are some cards that are trending down. So we showed you cards that were trending up. Now here's some cards that are trending down. Kicking this thing again off with some quarter century bonanza, Lightning Dragon, Ruler of Drafts. Not a lot of cards from this set actually trending down, but here is one of them. 3 months ago, this card was selling around $30, and then you guys can see pretty much a quick drop down. Now, most recently selling at $17.73, 41% increase. Next up, from the 25th anniversary rarity collection, this is a card that I would highly recommend collecting. This is Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Great looking card right here. Very popular to the fans and the collectors out there. 3 months ago, $55.56, and now most recently selling at $30.24. 45% decrease. I'm not even going to pretend like I can pronounce this card correctly, because I know I can't. This is the Lightless Shadow, so I'll just shorten it up, from Supreme Darkness. And you guys can see 3 months ago, this card was selling at $202. Woo! And now most recently selling at $151.40. 25% decrease. Next card up, we have Metal Flame Swordsman, Quarter of the Century, from Supreme Darkness. 3 months ago, this card was selling at $42.70, and now most recently selling right here, $17.53, 58% decrease. So this card was well above $30 and now selling below $20. That's a quite drastic decrease. Another card that I would highly recommend picking up, and it's from a most recent set too. It says Supreme Darkness is pretty recent, so sticking with that, you're going to see a lot of cards in that set too, because again, the meta is so rapidly changing with Yu-Gi-Oh that every time the new set comes out, these cards just boop, they drop right back down. So it's a really good thing about Yu-Gi-Oh too, especially if you're collecting Yu-Gi-Oh. Evil Hero, Toxic Bubble, Supreme Darkness, again, 3 months ago, $65.70. Oof, man. And now most recently selling at $20.82, 68% decrease. Goblin Bikers Gone Bonkers, from Supreme Darkness. 3 months ago, this card was selling at $25.91, and now most recently selling below $10 at $8.20, 68% decrease. Now, here we go into the Starlight Rares. There's only a couple of them that are actually dropping right now. So here's one of them. Sky Striker Ace Rose, from Ignition Assault. 3 months ago, this card was selling at $120. Now most recently selling below $100 at $80.81. 33% decrease. Again, I would pick some of these Starlight Rares up. The Dark Charmer Gloomy, Starlight Rare, from Battle of Chaos. Again, another great looking card. And 3 months ago, this card was selling at $79.23, and now you guys can see most recently selling at $75.11. A lot of ebbs and flows on this card as well. It's down by 5% in a 3-month range. I believe if we go 6 months, it's down more drastically. Yeah, so if you increase it by 6 months, this card was over $100, and now most recently selling at $74.80, 32% decrease. So again, maybe this is a card we pick up now while we can. Now, there's one card on this list that I highly, and I mean highly, recommend picking up. It's this one right here. This card is a PSA 9 and 10, goes for several hundreds of dollars. So if you're looking to collect and invest, this is the card I would easily pick up. And this card's always been over about $100 until very recently. It's Traptrix Alamaris, Starlight Rare, from Eternity Code. 3 months ago, $83.66, and now most recently selling at $67.85, 19% decrease. I believe over 6 months ago, yeah, 6 months ago, it was hovering right around that $90 range, so it's down quite a bit. I'm curious to see a year ago. Yeah, a year ago, well over $100 and constant. Like I said, I've always had my eye on this card because first of all, I think this is one of the most beautiful looking cards out there. Especially as a Starlight Rare, this card is absolutely gorgeous. Slabbed up, looks beautiful. Again, don't take my word for it. Go on eBay, look at this card as a PSA 9 and 10s. Goes for a good amount of money. Definitely a card, I think out of all of the cards on the list, this is definitely a card that I would pick up while it's on the downward trend. And last but not least, we have Area, the Water Charmer Gentle, Starlight Rare, Eternity Code as well. 3 months ago, this card was selling at $301, and now most recently sold at $224, 26% decrease. that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this content. If you have, again, if you made this far, hit the like button. If you like anything that I showed you on this list, hit that like button. If you're new, again, consider hitting that subscribe button. Again, I'm going to do these videos every Monday. I'll just do a TCG stock market update for you guys, just kind of going over all the cards, because with so much information, it's hard to just do it 2 or 3 times a week, especially with everything just kind of rapidly changing. So I'll try to do this every Monday for you guys, where we just go through the market updates. Generally, I usually do look at Pokemon a lot, but today I want to take a break from Pokemon, look at Yu-Gi-Oh. Maybe next week we'll take a look at One Piece. One Piece is definitely showing some favorables over there, because One Piece is constantly coming out with new sets. Same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. Constantly coming out with new sets, constantly coming out with a new meta. Cards that are collectible always trend up and down very quickly, whereas Pokemon right now is just really booming right now. So take a little bit of a break from Pokemon. That's going to do it for me. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did, again, please hit that like button. And for no other reason, if you're new, consider hitting that subscribe button, comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next time.